Boom and bust cycle. The boom and bust cycle of an economy is the period over which it expands and contracts. The United States has gone through 12 boom and bust cycles since the 1940s. Boom and bust cycles occur repeatedly in capitalist economies, varying in time and severity. During the boom, economies grow while jobs are plentiful and investors enjoy high market returns. During the bust, economies shrink, jobs are lost, and investors lose money. Timing can be crucial for investors, and many wonder why the economy experiences booms and busts instead of long, steady periods of economic growth. Part of the answer to that question is the central bank's handling of the money supply. During a boom, the central bank lends money at low interest rates, making it easier to obtain credit. More money is invested, and returns are high, and the economy grows. But eventually, people overinvest. The demand for all of the products made during the boom wanes, and the bust cycle starts. Values fall and investors lose money as consumers cut spending and companies cut jobs.
Hello everybody, it's Max with Crypto Talk now. Boom cycle momentum of 2023. There's been a lot of it, right? We've seen Bitcoin have some really nice gains, 9%, Cardano, a few other ones, right? But if anything, it faces a particular challenge that is looming here within the next 2 days, basically on Wednesday. What is it all about? Why does it matter to you? Well, let's jump right into it. So I want to bring this straight to you guys, and I've been doing this for a while now in regards to the bull run thesis. Here it basically is, and it's an update. And let's face it, when Jerome Powell addresses everyone in regards to the rate hikes, the possible rate hikes, right? It's not guaranteed. We need to pay attention to that. Me personally, I'm going with 25 basis points. And again, there's two main things that can happen from that. So again, we'll jump right into all that in today's outline. So like it mentions right here, shout out to Luke Lango and Charlie Shrem, who posted this just about a couple days ago. I wasn't around to present it to you guys. Glad to be back to do so. But check it out. While Boom Cycle 2023 prediction for cryptos may seem outlandish and misplaced a month ago, is now starting to look like a consensus belief, right? You know, let's face it, when we present a lot of this to you guys, we love to base things off of what data, because that's what matters the most. At least it does to me. So it says cryptos yet again rally this week. We had Bitcoin that popped off 9% in gains. Cardano, right? A lot of people feel like, what the heck's going on with Cardano? Last bull market and so on towards the end of 2021. It did okay, but didn't exactly shine like everybody else thought it would. We saw, for instance, the Vasil fork, and after that, things kind of mellowed out. A lot of people were disappointed. Even myself, I hold Cardano. But check this out. We've seen some recent price action on the upside, up 10% for Cardano. We saw, for instance, Polygon rally 20%, and certain smaller altcoins like Threshold, you did see significant gains, right? That was up over 90% and so on. So, you know, Aptos, shout out to Daniel Gayton. Check out his particular video he did in regards to explaining Aptos. You'd be quite interested to see how there's a tie to, for instance, Meta, as in Facebook's Meta, right? Those rose up to over 100% in the last week or so. So, like it mentions, year to date, 9 of the top 100 cryptos have already doubled. And that's the main key takeaway here before we jump further down into all this. Of the next 100, almost 20 have doubled. There's something going on here, right? The bull run thesis. Is it valid? Make your own conclusion. Draw your own conclusion. But nonetheless, this is now the 5th time I covered it so far within the last few months. So it states, in other words, it's not even the end of January, and already about 15% of the top 200 cryptos have risen more than 100% this year. That is very, very significant, because if anything, we are now approaching February here within the next day or so, if I'm not mistaken. So, does that sound like a boom cycle to you? Well, obviously, it seems to be the case. Well, when we get further into it, it says at this point, pretty much every technical buy signal has been triggered. Perhaps most potently, Bitcoin has crossed above its 30-week moving average for the first time in this bear market cycle. Now, every time Bitcoin has crossed above its 30-week MA, BTC, aka Bitcoin, proceeded to soar by at least 100% over the next few months. How do we know that? Let's break it down. Look at this right here. It shows you right here. So, this dates all the way back to 2011. You can see how these particular cycles are outlined. At the end of the day, again, I'll give a shout out to Richard Hart of Hex. No, I'm not personally invested in Hex, but this guy kept calling it, and he got it right where everybody else got it wrong for the most part. Think about it. He was mentioning about these 4-year cycles. Look at it right here. It makes perfect sense because if anything, like you see right here, every time Bitcoin retook that 30-week MA in a bear market, it entered a new boom cycle. That's the key takeaway. And we've seen some of these particular gains. So all the people who had random opinions stating that, no, this is going to do a retracement back to December lows, that has not been the case. That's the one of the main key takeaways I want you guys to understand. Again, look at it. I wish I could blow this up a little bit more. In fact, I will. Just let me come out of the frame for just a brief moment. So here it is. And it's really something else. I mean, you can see the momentum that we have already obtained here, right? The fundamental drivers of this rally look very, very solid. I'll stay out of the frame for just a moment because, if anything, we're going to show you another particular chart. On the macro front, we have got data this week that inflation is falling apart. Listen to this, with PCE and core PCE inflation cooling off rapidly in December. Now, you don't know what PCE is, right? You may be thinking, well, I don't know what that means, and that's okay. We love to provide you crypto education here at Crypto Talk Now. PCE basically means personal consumption expenditures. Personal consumption expenditures, also known as consumer spending, is a measure of the spending on goods and services by the people of the United States. According to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, the BEA, which is a U.S. government agency, PCE accounts for about 2/3 of domestic spending and is a significant driver of gross domestic product, aka GDP. Little known fact. All right, so let's get more and more into this. I want to pull this up. Look at this. Those inflation rates are on track to get back to quote-unquote normal levels by the spring. Also on the inflation front, short-term consumer inflation expectations dropped again in January, while natural gas prices plunged below $3 this week. Inflation is what is collapsing. Look at the chart. Don't base things off of emotion. Base it off of data. That's the best way to go about it. Not financial advice, but that's the way I personally look at it. I want to see numbers because numbers don't have what? They don't have emotions. U.S. personal consumption expenditures chain type price index year on year. So, at the current rate of disinflation, PCE inflation rates will be back to quote-unquote normal by April 2023. My goodness, that's right around the corner. U.S. personal consumption expenditures chain type price index year on year. See a little bit more on this. And it dates all the way back to 2010, and you can see where this is going right now. Meanwhile, let's come back into the frame. Let me show you guys this. So I want to talk about this for a second. And that is in regards to everything you're seeing about, for instance, MasterCard, Visa, et cetera, looks positioned to avert a recession, right? Don't get me wrong. There could be doom and gloom here. It could always happen. Black swan events can happen in a crypto bull market and bear market, right? But look at this. Can we possibly avert recession? Now, let's face it, the majority of the people are going to say no. But hear me out. MasterCard and Visa reported earnings this week. Both payment card giants said that consumer spending was impressively resilient in the last 3 months of 2022 and is picking up steam here in January. And when you see these particular numbers, it is nothing to bat an eye at or be dismissive about. The consumer is 70% of the economy. If they are still chugging along, the economy will too. Check this out. Business update through January 21st of 2023. Year-over-year growth. And here it is. Switch transactions dating back to, for instance, Q3 of 2022. And you saw, for instance, how it was a consistent 9%, then it dropped to 8%. And that's where a lot of the doom and gloom came, right? We saw, for instance, the height of crypto winter. But check out where this momentum has gone. It's gone 4% on the upside since then. Really something else. On top of that, let's get further down into this. And by the way, this was reported on January 26th, so not that long ago. Perhaps most important, the stock market. Remember on the last bull run thesis video, we talked about, for instance, it might not have been the last one, but maybe the one before that, talked about, for instance, the whole thing with the stock market. Usually the stock market does well, crypto does well. We are not at the point yet when it comes to crypto where we're in our own separate, island, if you will, where the stock market doesn't affect us. Maybe someday we do just that with over 50% adoption into crypto, but we're not there yet. So it states the stock market is starting to stage a meaningful technical breakout. Wow, let's get more into this. So the S&P 500 has now broken above its downtrend, bear market resistance line that held throughout 2022 and has retaken its 200-day moving average while also forming a new short-term uptrend off its October lows. This looks like a classical technical breakout from a bear market. Makes you think. And that's bullish for cryptos. That's why I'm so excited. That's why I'm so gung-ho, because stocks and cryptos have recently developed a strongly positive correlation. Yes. Now, for people who want crypto winter to be extended because you want to get things at rock bottom, there's always going to be that crowd. There's going to be the crowd that wants it extended, and I get it. Maybe because you haven't been able to accumulate as much as you wished, or you're just simply even that much more greedy. I don't mean that in a bad way. And once you want to, load up your bags even that much more, right? So this has developed a strongly positive correlation. Check out this in regards to the S&P 500 in a technical breakout. It looks like it is pretty big, but I'm going to blow it up a little bit more. And check this out. This is really something else. So you see, for instance, there's a downtrend which broke and the index retook a 200 DMA. Really something else, because now you have a new uptrend forming, and it's just, it's pretty blatant right there. Even with that double bottom that you see right here, I feel as though that we could have a huge significant breakout. I've stated it before and I'm going to state it again. I believe that we are at the accumulation phase. If you've been following our bull run thesis or boom cycle thesis for, even before January, right? We were talking about these 4-year cycles. You will have noticed where the next phase is huge growth. And of course, in the previous video, we should see, for instance, again, not financial advice, this is just how I personally look at it, based off the data from Investor Place, premium service. No, we're not paid by them, but it basically mentions about 500+% on the upside for 2023. All the naysayers saying in 2023, you can't make any money in crypto. I just think that's simply incorrect. All right. All the stars aligning for a massive crypto boom cycle for 2023. And on top of that, let me come back into the frame. I want to mention this, and that is a little bit more on what you see here. If so, why haven't we issued any buy alerts? Well, I personally don't listen or list any buy alerts for anybody because I can't give you official financial advice. But for me personally, I am going to wait for the magic moment 2 days from now, for when, as Larry would say on the live show, for when the old man rolls out of the cave, aka Jerome Powell, with some particular statements. Here they are, basically. So the Fed is set to deliver that rate hike announcement. I'm going with 25 basis points. That makes sense. They at Investor Place are doing it as well. That also makes sense. The wild card is what Fed Chairman Jerome Powell is basically going to state, and that is this. If he lays out the path for monetary policy going forward on Wednesday's press conference, then if anything, we should have a better idea of where this thing is going. Bottom line is this: we do not want to front run that event in the crypto world. And on top of that, we need Powell to shed some light, or light a fire, if you will, when it comes to the crypto market by saying the Fed's job is nearly done, or if he will cause a massive crash by saying the Fed needs to keep hiking for a lot longer. I'm rooting for the job is nearly done. Because if the job is nearly done, ooh, man, extreme bullish momentum. I'm just going to call it right there, flat out. Incredibly bullish. But he could very well state, nope, needs to keep going. You need to keep hiking this darn thing up more and more, right? So they at Investor Place want to issue new buy alerts after that particular event. I'll keep you guys updated in regards to specifically that. But why? Why is this such a big deal? Because like it says, we cannot predict what Powell will say. It says next week, but in reality, that's in 2 days from now. But we can predict with reasonable confidence that inflation is cooling off fast enough. We broke it down literally in 5 total videos. You'll see some particular cards at the end of this particular video if you want to catch up on it. On top of that, the Fed, like it mentions, it says, we have reasonable confidence that inflation is cooling off fast enough to allow, the Fed to pause its rate hike campaign. That's a key thing here. By the summer. Think about all the things that are happening in summer. Quant, for instance, CBDCs. Literally, we're seeing 3 of them getting rolled out by June of 2023. Don't believe me? Check out our particular recorded section. We have a whole outline for you guys. On top of that, you have with XRP, you have ISO 222 mandate, and that's not just with XRP, let's face it, it's with the ISO. So, but the ones that really stand out are obviously Ripple's XRP and Stellar's XLM. And if anything, the start date, unless there's a delay, but I don't think so, not this time around, March 20th. Hence why we always state, and we've been consistent about this, and that is the utility run that will trigger the real true bull run. Why does that matter? And why is it always those top 3 that we mentioned to you guys? Qnt, XRP, Xlm. Because those are the top 3 in my book that stand out. And XDC, believe it or not, is my 4th, and it's been consistent. And the reason why I'm stating that is because while you have XRP, for instance, with the bank-to-bank transfers, you have XLM with the peer-to-peer transfers with, ISO 222 going live and so on. Those utilities have not been fully utilized. I see people in the comments, for instance, not most of you guys, a lot of you guys understand how all this works and so on, but there's always those particular naysayers who are going to state, well, I'm looking at XLM and the price hasn't moved. It hasn't done anything. Hello, think about it. It's because the utility hasn't been fully utilized yet. But that doesn't mean the utility won't be fully utilized. Just like Ripple's XRP, that on-demand liquidity. I've used this example time and time again. Picture 2 or more giant Olympic-sized swimming pools. My goodness, and they're completely empty. You get these little droplets of water because the thing is, they're literally ready to gush out and fill these Olympic-sized swimming pools full of what? That on-demand liquidity. And I cannot stress that enough. That's why the price is they're in the 40-cent range. Once that comes gushing out and is fully utilized, that's where you get these crazy market caps where people say over $1,000 XRP, $10,000. Shoot, I've seen people even say over $50,000 in XRP. Sounds nuts, right? But just because it's never happened before doesn't mean it can't happen. Think of all the naysayers back in the day when it came to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is never going to, get out of its own way. I remember seeing that years ago. Never going to give out its own way. It's never going $100. It went from $100 to well over $1,300. And the rest is history, right? So look at this. If Powell lights a fire under risk assets on Wednesday, only 2 days from now, we will join the rally because it will last for a while longer. If Powell causes a crash, we will buy the dip because we are confident cryptos will rebound. Either way, it simply makes the most sense to wait for Powell to do whatever he's going to do next on Wednesday and then either join the rally or buy the dip. Therefore, we are sitting on a very compelling list of cryptos to buy, and we hope to pull the trigger on them over the next few weeks. Many of them, think about it. Qnt Xrp Xlm Xdc. Now, I'm going to mention this specifically. Why Xdc? Gave you guys the outline for Qnt. Obviously, the CBDCs, 100 plus blockchains being interoperable, part of that utility run that will lead to the bull run. You have an outline of what's going to happen by summer, roughly June. Check out some of our previous Qnt recorded content. You won't want to miss it. But if anything, that is one of the big key ones, right? But definitely Xrp Xlm. But why Xdc? Well, because it's just like this. The trade sector. That sector in itself is huge. The tokenization of, for instance, like gold, bullion. Think of how many countries are stacking gold as we speak. XDC is significantly cheaper, not in a bad way, cheaper as far as less expensive when it comes to these particular fees. And it doesn't just stop there. What they could do with, for instance, NFTs, what they can do, for instance, with the tokenization, like I mentioned, of gold. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a full bullion. You have, for instance, that military grade blockchain. Guys, I'm telling you flat out, at these particular prices for XDC, that's the next one I see like being like that pressure cooking effect, right? That's what excites me, because when that pressure effect happens, you see significant upside potential. We already saw it with the likes of LCX. We already saw it with the likes of EALBT. I'm telling you flat out, I'm going to call it right now. XDC is really going to do something else, and I am becoming even more bullish on some of these other ones we've been talking about on the live show, and that is, for instance, Casper. Yes, Casper. Shout out to Mike Cornwell for tuning me into Casper. I think that one's flying under the radar as well. But what's the consistent narrative here? Part of the QFS, the Quantum Financial System, part of ISO 222. Might not be officially yet, but part of that particular list. But either way, 20 particular coins and tokens from multiple different blockchains that are part of what? The Quantum Financial System. All right. So with that said, I want to point out just a couple things here, and that is this. We see, for instance, the overall crypto market cap has gone to what? 1.04 trillion. But we saw this recently within a couple days, goes as high as 1.08 trillion. Now, Bitcoin was well over 23,000. It might even touch into the 24s briefly. But here's the thing. I mean, a lot of this looks like it's down right now. And I think it's just that because they, a lot of the market realizes what's coming up here soon. That's going to be a big moment, guys, when it comes to specifically what the announcement on Wednesday. So with that said, we'll keep monitoring this very, very closely. And if anything, I do look forward to seeing you guys at the live show, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, every single day of the week. Let me know. Are you guys bullish on the whole thing of the boom cycle 2023 consensus, or you're not quite there yet? And if anything, you're basing it off of what Jerome Powell is going to mention on Wednesday. Thanks for watching today's video. May you all have a blessed day. Please hit that like button if you haven't done so already, and subscribe. We will see you on the next one.